Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday night edition, the usual Sunday night post-defeat edition of Spurs Diehards TTID. I've only had one whiskey as well. What do we say? Well, first of all, guests, Tom will be joining us shortly, and maybe Brad later. So at the moment, it's just the two ugly ones, myself and my fellow co-founder, partner in crime, Adrian Stroker. Good evening, Adrian.
Good evening, Ian. What a wonderful evening.
What a wonderful evening, yeah.
It's the same as usual with Spurs, isn't it? Trying to fathom what's wrong with our club. There's too much to go into in one show, obviously.
Yeah.
But, we survive and we're stronger for it. And we know that, next season couldn't possibly be as bad as this. And as our first 9 months into running podcasts, you and I mainly, we've endured. And so, we'll be stronger for it. And, we haven't folded. We're still here.
Yeah.
As a podcasters, you have to be able to deal with the good as well as the bad, and I'll always celebrate a victory and I'll always scrutinize a defeat. So,
It reminds me of Jasper Carrott all those years ago talking about Birmingham, some you lose, some you draw, and it's a bit like that for Spurs at the moment.
Yeah. But apart from that, I'm fine. I've had one beer. I'm on my second beer because I deserve one. Right?
I had a whiskey watching the game. I nursed a whiskey watching the game. I'm afraid I'm on the Agua sin gas. So,
right.
But good evening to everybody in the chat. I don't know any of you are saying, we got Nita. I know there's 20 of, and it's rising as we speak. So, that's you. Sorry. Where's Nita gone?
Nita's below. Big up, Nita. Yeah. A good friend of the show. We'll put our chat up. Yeah, big up, Nita. Very brave of you. Any of you who watched the show tonight, I can understand if you've all come out from behind the sofa and got your head under a pillow at this particular time and took a few paracetamol, right? So it's like it is what it is. It is what it is, mate, isn't it? As Ange would say. You won't be saying it for much longer, I don't think. But
in the war, they used to parachute them into France and give them cyanide tablets.
But any player or manager, it's my Spurs call because I go back over 6 decades with this club. Probably you as well. It's my Spurs call. When you're brought up following this club, from the day I was brought up with it, it was either follow Spurs or the orphanage. I didn't have no choice in the matter. A contract for life once you become a Spurs fan, and then. That was a question of you always supported the team, all the players and the managers while they're at the club, whether you like them or not. And there's been managers I haven't liked. There's been too many players to name that I didn't want at this football club or didn't like. But I always supported them while we're at the club. And back in the day, as Ian will tell you, we never spoke about the board or, the managing director. A lot of fans wouldn't even know who Sidney Wale was, would they?
No, absolutely.
Back to you, Ian. Back to you.
Yeah, good evening, Lisa. Anyway, sorry, I've lost Ronnie. There you go, Ronnie.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, evening fed up. Yeah, well, hey, listen, we all are. But let's get into talking about some of the stuff that I want to talk about. I mean, first of all, who keeps changing my things? Congratulations to Liverpool. Let's be honest. In a poor season, they've been by some distance the best side. Congratulations to them. And to Arne Slot, who has taken, almost identical players and taken them up another level. And it would be churlish not to offer our commiserations to us.
You're laughing, yeah?
Who, runners up yet again, Mikel. It's a tough life, mate. Tough.
They've come a long way since their inauguration, which was 2 years after us, actually. We were inaugurated in 1882, and Arsenal were inaugurated in 1884. And what a lot of the fans you won't know, and don't laugh, Arsenal's original name was Dial Square. Dial Square. That was their original name, yeah? They've been Arsenal, Woolwich Arsenal, Royal Arsenal. Their original name is Dial Square. Those of you that know I'm very fact-based, right, you can always Google it.
I believe you millions wouldn't.
Yeah, millions wouldn't. Arsenal fans probably wouldn't like the reminding of that. and I'm not going to give commiseration answer, and it just sticks in my craw actually. I know you should congratulate winners. Over the years, I've been so many times hard done by Liverpool in games, home and away, and also especially that penalty against Sissoko in the Champions League final. I'm biting my bottom lip. I'm not congratulating them. I'm a biased fan. I've got to be honest. I'm a biased Spurs fan, and I'm not congratulating. As soon as that game finished, I switched off before all the commentators started wanking over them. Right, you know what I mean? So that was me. Done.
Right. Ronnie's in the house. Yeah, congratulations. Sorry, Graham is in the house.
It's true, Ronnie. It's true.
Message up later. Now that's a football club. At some point, I would like to do a show on why are Liverpool, Manchester United, and I hate to say it, Arsenal. Why have they gone on there? You know, particularly when you go back, you talk about going back 60 years and what have you. They weren't bigger clubs than us, but for some reason they have a mental strength that we don't have. You go back to the 60s, 70s, the big clubs in particular, more or less turned over the same amount of money.
Well, I was having this conversation on another podcast with other Spurs fans on the phone, or I forget what it was. And they were saying a similar thing to me. And they said, well, you go back to the dinosaurs age. What's going on? So I said, well, when we were back there even in the 60s, when we won the double, when I was a 5-year-old on parents' shoulders and things like that, and didn't really know what was going on, to be honest. You're just too young to appreciate the enormity of the success you're having at that particular time. And even 62 and 63, like I'm 8 years old then, a bit more into football. And you think it's never going to end. 67,
you have
we
to
win
look
the
at the
FA Cup.
message. Nita's got it absolutely right.
Yeah. You think it's never going to end.
Pants and knickers rather than kickers, but anyway.
And when it does end, when the little era success ends and you don't win anything for a few years, you're left thinking, well, why is this? Why is this? And then we get to the early 70s, still under Nick, and we win another 3 trophies, 2 League Cups and Europe, and we beat Wolves. And you think, oh, yeah, it was temporary blip and all that. And then suddenly in 74, Nicholson resigns after riots in Rotterdam when we lose the UEFA Cup final final over 2 legs, and then they make one of the first mistakes in history. They appoint Terry Neal instead of Blanchflower, and he don't stay long. Berkshire takes over. We get relegated. We come up, and then we come back from that blip. We bring the Argentinians in at the '78 World Cup to go with Hoddle and Perriman and co. And suddenly you smell success, and we have a period of success from 81 to 84. This is always before all this money's come into the game. Then we lose the 87 final at Coventry, which we should have won, which was painful experience for me. And we get a bit of hope back through the 90s and 91, the year before the Premier League was inaugurated in 92. Clubs going bankrupt, and we win the FA Cup under Venables, 2-1 against Forest. And you think through history from then on, like things go down on, you're thinking, well, if you've got a structure at a club whereby you're playing, they didn't have these things back in those days, you're playing your under 9s for illegal reasons or whatever it is, up to your first team, all your levels of football from your academy levels upwards, you're playing the same style of football. And if you've got the right coaching and scouting team and all them, which you had to have back in the day because people didn't have all that money to go and spend hundreds of millions on players that you did now, then you think like, right, whoever's at this club, player comes in, knows the brand of football we play, they fit. If you're a manager that comes to this football club, we're renowned for playing a fast, attractive style of football. You must come in knowing that, and you're playing that style of football. And then you get that cohesion and unity throughout the whole club. Instead of this just disjointed hit and miss stuff, hiring and firing managers willy-nilly that didn't even suit the club in the first place.
I'm going to stop you because that's actually a show.
Oh, okay.
That's actually a show that I've got planned.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe the summer rather than.
I'm waffling. Go on, Karen.
Let me ask you. Let's ask a question. Let's talk about this because there's plenty of comments on the chat about the club is broken. It's too depressing. Nita saying, we just need to pull our big pants up and our big boy pants or big girl pants up and go again on Thursday. But there is a feeling that there is a malaise that's through the squad at the moment. And I'm starting to worry that actually just thinking we can turn it on again or turn it on Thursday, as if none of these recent defeats have happened. And it just seems losing has become a habit. It's just become a really, really bad habit. And much as I think we should have too much for Bodo Glimt, I'm just not convinced.
I get doubts, especially the way we performed. We got to a position where people were saying that, when we get all these players back, especially key players, because any team that loses two best centre backs and its best goalkeeper, who's not been in great form either recently, is going to suffer badly. And that's without losing a number 9 like Solanke. And everyone's saying, we've missed Solanke, glad to have him back, as if he's like a world-class player or another Harry Kane. That's how desperate we were, that we were that pleased to have Solanke back in the team. I'm not saying he hasn't done badly. He's got 13 goals now and 8 assists in all comps, right? But he's nowhere near, and the strikers we've seen in the past, Ian, he's not a patch on any of them. He's not a patch on loads of them, right? And the same with Richarlison. And I thought that even before...
Adrian, does today, do these defeats matter?
Yeah, they do matter. They do matter.
Can we just pull out a rabbit out of a hat on Thursday and suddenly turn it on in the, let's call it, the 3 games that we hope we've got left?
Yeah, we can. And they matter. And they matter simply because you want to see, we reached a tipping point, right? Before these players were coming back anyway. And then you've got to expect them to hit the ground running, which might take 4 or 5 games. Well, the games weren't left. The time wasn't left to do that. We're still left in cups. And we reached that tipping point. So no matter what Ange was going to do, what results he was going to do, even he got a couple of extra wins here amongst the losses and whatever, it wouldn't make no difference. So what I was looking for, and I think what a lot of the fan base were looking for, okay, we're playing a lot of these kids, we're chopping and changing with the squad. We want to see growth and improvement. And you want to win every game. The fact that we're in the semi-final of the Europa League, you still want to win every game and you want to see growth and improvement. What we have seen this season, the positives are that Gray, Bergvall, Spence, even Danso, who's been here a short while, have been pluses for us. Odebert and Tol showed promise, but they're not oven ready, are they? They're not the finished product, but they've both got something about them. But again, we're waiting as fan base, and fans at this club are sick and tired of waiting and we're going to have another refresh in the summer. It's odds on, even if Ange wins the Europa League. And so, so anyway, back to you.
I think what I do, I don't actually want to talk too much about the game. I think everybody's seen it. Everybody saw how bad we were. So what I want to do is take this show to the bigger picture in terms of the Thursday week and how that shapes up. And then the bigger picture in terms of where we go in the summer, because it looks incredible. Don't answer this now, but we'll talk about this. From what's being said in the press and with every big defeat, it looks less and less likely that even if we win the Europa League, that Ange will be there in the summer. So let me get your opinion. Lots of rumours about the team. In the end, I think that was 8 changes from the team that played Nottingham Forest. And actually, I thought the team that played Nottingham Forest, that for the most part, played reasonably well. 2 individual errors.
Yeah, they did.
Beginning,
you're all...
we could have won that game 4 or 5-2.
And you, apart from the first 15 minutes, you're always going to get a backlash when you lose a game. That's always going to happen. It's just the nature of... I think it's the nature of every club's fan base, to be honest, not just ours. I said it's going to be Davies and Dance in the middle, and then they weren't awful, right? Udogie was poor. Madison Gray Bergvall. Fans have been crying out for Graham Bergvall. All right, they need time to blend in midfield, those two. But okay, Gray wasn't great either with one of the goals. Bergvall, a few missed passes, but you get that with.
Brad's here. I think Brad's here.
That. Yeah,
Brad,
you're going to get that with young players. And look, okay, we've been spanked, but they would have got more experience, and they've got experience under their belt. I'm looking forward now because we know, look, doesn't matter what we do between now and the end of the season, apart from the Europa League, really. I was always looking for growth and an improvement, like in the younger players. And we've seen that the positives this season have been Spence, Gray, Bergvall, even Danso. And we don't know if he's got a higher ceiling, but he looks good. Could be a bit better on the ball, but he seems to know how to play as a defender, which I've questioned some of our others at times. So, so I'm quite happy. And like I say, Tell and Odebert have shown potential, So,
so let me before I bring Brad in. There's a couple of people. Paul, good evening, Paul. Paul G. If I didn't say good evening to you earlier, and I think the sound of silence is probably right, Ben. But I tell you what, there's a great version of that. I bet Ben loves it, by a group called Disturbed, and I think we're all pretty disturbed at the moment with what's going on. So yeah, good evening. There's 81 of you in the chat at the moment, so please hit the like and subscribe button. And good evening, Thomas.
Hello.
Hi.
I've just connected the Spurs Diehards Facebook page as well, so you might even get some Facebook viewers now.
Oh, cool.
Well done,
hang on. Who's playing with my chat here?
Sorry, that's me.
Where's Ben's chat?
Oh, hang on, we'll go back.
No, hang on, I've got it. I've got it. But, right, just for everybody, anyone who doesn't know Ben is 12. So it's a little bit.
Hello, Ben. Hello, Ben.
Harsh, Ben. But I mean, I have to be honest with you. Brad. Brad, you're in your 60s, aren't you?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
Ben is the mod master. Ben is mod in every channel that I know. Ben is a mod, right? If you do not cross swords with Ben, the Kaufman, or you'll get coughed up, mate.
Yeah. Me, Brad, Tom's dad, Kev, Adrian. We watched Spurs in the mid-70s till we got relegated in 77. And by God, that was hard watching.
Oh.
That was really hard watching.
I was lucky. I was in Australia, so I sort of was a bit.
We had season tickets.
Didn't experience it as bad as you guys did.
It was a bit of a penance. Let me bring Tom in then. Just talking about the team, Tom. We're obviously talking about everything in context of Thursday. Because all our eggs are very much in the Europa basket. But what was your thoughts when you saw that team at 2:45 or whatever? No, we go 3:15 this afternoon.
As soon as I saw that team, I knew we were going to get stuffed. He finally decides to play Gray in midfield with Bergvall and Madison against Liverpool.
Yeah.
So stupid. The first time that midfield three has ever played with each other, and you do it against Liverpool, who have the most settled first 11, and that being the main reason why Liverpool have won the league this year is that they've basically played the same 11 players in every single game. And it's the reason why they're not in any other competitions and they've only, won the league, because they've basically played the same 11 players every single game. They've built up that consistency. If you were looking to try and build a bit of confidence going into Thursday, he would have been better off just literally playing all the reserves and not having any of the first 11 that he's looking to play on Thursday in there, and then everyone would have known straight away. Okay, yeah, this is just about blooding minutes into players. Like, yeah,
I personally think, look at that team. I was a bit disturbed that Bergwijn was playing because I think he's one of our best players, and I certainly didn't want him to get injured for Thursday. But I just thought, looking at that team, it's almost like a pre-season friendly. Let's give some guys some minutes, get them ready for Thursday. In fact, when we scored, it was like, oh, we got to go or whatever. It just was no exciting at all.
He's getting stuffed 5-1. Good preparation for.
No.
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I was embarrassed by tonight. I really was embarrassed. And it's not right. There's a thing at the club that's rife throughout the whole club. But I think looking at the team we put out tonight, it was okay. Let's give some guys a bit of a game so get their match fitness up. And let's be honest. Look, I was embarrassed that we lost 5-1. Don't get me wrong. But we're all thinking about Thursday. Let's be honest about it. We're all thinking
I'm not in any way, shape, or form distraught about today's result. There was absolutely nothing riding on today's results, which is why I probably would have preferred to have seen Kinski playing goal. I probably would have preferred, like actually Davis and Danso playing centre back. I think that was probably the right decision. Give them some minutes and stuff like that. I would have quite liked to have seen more play instead of Tell. I would have quite liked to see Richarlison play instead of Solanke.
No, I totally agree.
He's done a hybrid of we don't care about this game, but I also care about this game, and therefore it's just ended up getting stuff like. There were several players in that team. Don't get me wrong. I think you need consistency, and playing builds consistency, but not if you know you're going to get stuff. You always knew. When was the last time we went to Anfield, even when we were good and got a result?
Well, when Garth Crooks scored that winner in whatever year it was, and they said it was the first time we'd won at Anfield since 1912 when the Titanic
it
went
was.
down.
Yeah, exactly. It was. Yeah.
Now, even Adrian isn't old enough to remember when the Titanic went down. That's how long ago it was. So, yeah, I know. And you know what I'm feeling? There's it's almost like a demorph happiness here. It's
they did show. They did show. When I was watching at the pub, the game, they did show when we won 2-0 there, and Modric scored.
Yeah. They showed it on the telly today.
Yeah, so like.
And Klinsmann scored in the FA Cup when we won there.
He did, yeah.
My main recollection of that was Tommy Smith was doing the expert analysis on radio. It may have even still been Radio 2 before Radio 5 Live. And all he talked about was Liverpool. And yet you could hear from the commentary that Tottenham were getting more and more into it. And all of a sudden we get, I think it was Klinsmann and Sheringham that scored our goals, maybe not necessarily in that order. And then suddenly, Tottenham have won the game. How did that happen? Well, you weren't watching it, Tommy. You're only watching one team anyway.
Yeah. And then we had the Eric Edmond and the Wanyama Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
I don't know how I remember this crap at my age. Honestly, don't.
But can you remember what you had for dinner 2 hours ago?
Can I say a bit of an embarrassment thing that happened to me tonight? And I'll be honest, I had a couple of beers. Well, more to be fair. So I'm there, and Liverpool won the title. Suddenly, in the pub, 4 or 5 guys come in with red shirts on.
Oh no!
And I'm going, what are you here now? You've won the title. You've won the title. What are you here now? What are you doing here now? You've won the title. Just etc. And then I looked a little bit closer. They were Nottingham Forest fans. I was so embarrassed.
I nearly spent my water there.
Yeah, because they obviously Ealing's quite close to Wembley, and a lot of them do that. And I sort of said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm really embarrassed about it." They're cool about it, but yeah.
Let's say a couple of hellos. David from Leicester. Should we
good friend of the show?
Should be
Yeah,
signed
he's on a
Jamie
lot of times,
Vardy.
David's got a picture of Madison on his bedside table. Joking, David. I've got one of Vlahovic, don't worry.
I think that's something we're going to come on to. Absolutely need to come on to. Paul, good evening to you, Paul.
Big up, Paul. Good friend of the show. And on XCOM as well, Paul.
As I say, we're almost
comments on there.
Almost beyond caring, pure Nige.
Big up, Nige.
The Thursday today was shocking.
True.
My favourite fuck off is here. I'm sure that's probably
great
not how it's meant to be pronounced.
That's a great name. I love it.
As I said, we're all past caring. Lord Rodney Trotter, the Right Honourable.
Big up, Lordy.
Yeah. Good evening.
Big up your lordship, shall I say?
And the chat. Spotlight on Spurs.
Yeah, big up, Luke. Spotlight.
Reminds me, someone was talking about Disturbed earlier. Spotlight on.
We'll get you on, Luke. We'll get you on, Luke Summers. We'll get you on.
Spotlight on Lou Rolls, Sam and Dave, Wilson Pickett, Otis Redding, and James Brown. Name that song. Name that tune in the chat. Anybody?
On the dock of the bay.
Chinwag Spurs. Someone in the chat name that song. There's a cyber pint coming your way. Manager, we know yet, but then players ought to be ashamed of themselves. I don't think any of them have got anything to be proud of. That's for certain. Right. Anyway,
the travelling fans their money back. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the game, and then I said I wanted to talk about the big picture because I think the big picture with Bodo and beyond.
This is
1-0. In some ways, if that was us conceding that goal, we would be going ape shit.
Yeah.
A simple straight cross corner from Maddison. I mean, Diaz is marking Solanke. I mean, give me a break from their point of view. I mean, he's one of our, we know Bentancur there. There's no real aerial threat. Why is one of their big central defenders not on Solanke? He's attached, he's unmarked. Great header, 1-0.
Well, before you get on to the guest, the amusing story was, I was saying to Drew Ziller, a fellow admin on our group, about the fact that Solanke's played 168 games or something during his Premier League career, and he's only got 6 headers. Then Drew Ziller's brought it up on the Irish Hotspur. Yeah, but they were talking about crosses into the box. But like, Solanke never scores with his head, right? So what happened today? That was a great header.
It was a brilliant goal.
Great header. And I just thought, oh no. At the time, Drew must have thought, oh no. You know what I mean? Like, typical.
Yeah. I'm on to the really important things, like music. It's not the Temptations. I'll go with you as the greatest of all time, the greatest soul band of all time. But that song was not the Temptations. Let's go back. Tom, seriously, your thoughts on the goal?
Corner into the box, Solanke headers it in. I mean, just not much there. I know it's the epitome of punditry, that, isn't it? It's like saying,
brilliant analysis.
That team scores more goals, they'll win.
Thank you for your input and goodbye. You know what I mean? It's one of them.
It does. I mean, it was a very good header. It was a very good header. It was a very good ball in the box. Like, football can be that simple at times.
No.
I'd rather he do that on Thursday than tonight, to be fair.
He will.
Yeah.
Even if it's the start now of him scoring goals, like getting
hopefully,
back into it. Fine.
All right, Brad. Let me talk about Diaz 1-1, and it just you get in the lead at Anfield. Okay, you've poked the bear, but you managed to hold on for about 4 minutes, and it's like, come on, Tottenham. We're just opened up.
The thing about the equalising goal was the fact that minutes before they scored an identical goal that was slightly offside. And you think to yourself, well, okay, you know what they're going to do, defend it, and they didn't. It's depressing. It really was depressing.
What was bad about it was like Udogie didn't mark Salah the way Spence would have done if he'd have been there. And then he gets through for how you pronounce his name, right? And then he gets the assist for Diaz for the goal. I thought Udogie, he was poor today. Go on, carry on anyway.
Well,
I don't
carry on, because the next banner I had on, which was, and this is where I get angry with Ange, that it's obvious they are ripping us apart down that left-hand side. So how do you change it? How do you change it? Do you get Tell to come back and support more? Do you get Gray to maybe become another, or bring Gray into the back four to allow Udogie to go over and play 5 at the back? I don't care. What annoys me about this, and I don't know, one of you come in, is that it's happening and I don't see a reaction to it. I don't see the coach making a tactical, even a tactical tweak to say, I'm going to lose this game unless I block up, because there was no threat down the right. Everything was coming down their right, our left.
I don't think we've got anyone on the pitch that can see what's going on and can change things. And look, I never watched the double side. Miles before, I was too young. But my dad said that Danny Blanchard was Bill Nicholson on the pitch.
Yeah.
And
sorry, Lee. Congratulations, Lee. Sorry,
we
Brad,
don't have that. We don't have that. And that's what you need. You need someone on the pitch that will say, hang on a minute, this is not happening. We've got to do this. We haven't got that. We haven't had it for a long, long time, to be fair. But the thing that worried me about the first goal we conceded was exactly a carbon copy of the one that we was given offside. And it's like, well, come on, guys, But we haven't defended well at all. I don't think today, certainly in the first half, I don't think it's the worst performance I've ever seen. But again, our defending lets us down, and you have to think, well, okay, maybe not blame Ange for it, but he's got coaches there that are trying to coach our guys how to defend. Well, they're obviously not doing a good job. It's as simple as that, and it's so sad to see, and we've seen it so many times this season, so many times. Look at the Forest game. Yeah, we should have battered Forest, but 2 goals or 3 goals effectively, one was offside, in the first 15 minutes from poor defending. We do it all the time.
I think what's frustrating for me is I used to moan, and I feel like an idiot now. I used to moan about Pochettino being reactive rather than proactive with his substitutions. Now I would just like a manager that would do anything active. But the thing is, I'm not surprised by it, because Ange literally said from the minute he got here, we don't have a plan B. We just do plan A better. Well, plan A's not working, and you're not doing it any better either. Better is conceding more goals than, you are doing it better. But it's so. I've actually said this from the last few games, especially I've watched, and there is a lot of this that's accurate and right. Every substitution that he seems to be making seems to be pre-planned the day before. Like, there is no this isn't working. As you said, this isn't working. We need to change it. I need to tighten up in that area of the field. It's the last few games. It's been Mickey van der Ven and Romero off at half time.
But I get that. I get that if he's looking towards the Europa League semi-final.
Yeah, 100%. But it's just so predictable what substitutions he's going to make. And it's all like for likes and everything like that.
Yeah.
The only time I think in recent memory that he's made substitutions where it hasn't been like for likes and it's been to manage the game was when we beat Frankfurt 1-0 at their gaff, and he brought on extra defenders and saw a game.
But in fairness, let me bring you in on this, Adrian. he's clearly trying to manage people's minutes. He's trying to make sure that people like Kulusevski, Van der Ven, and what have you are as sharp and as ready for Thursday and as 100% fit for Thursday as he can. I mean, on the one hand, we're all saying, look, it doesn't matter because all eyes are on Thursday. But we're going to, like Tom's criticising the manager for setting the side up and playing the players for the minutes he wants. And I agree about the substitutions being pre-planned, but they're pre-planned with a view to having everybody in peak condition for Thursday night.
It's not
the tip. Yeah, go on, Tom.
It's not necessarily a criticism, but it's more a fact of that the actions that are being shown are different to the words being said. Like if he had literally said in the preamp to this game that we know that winning this game winning or losing this game on Sunday is not going to make a difference to our league position. The most important thing about this game for us is the preparation for Thursday. Literally say that line, and then everyone knows where we're at. He says, of course, we want to go into this game and win it, but the most important thing from this game is the preparation for Thursday and getting minutes into the legs of players that haven't played a lot of football lately. He said that in a pre-press conference. All Spurs fans right now at 5-1, although it'd be annoying, we'd have gone, okay, well, the most important thing is Kulusevski's had X amount of minutes. This player's had X amount of minutes. Like, actually, we've got minutes into the legs of players. Archie Gray's finally had a go at midfield and is getting up to speed at playing in midfield. Like, I just think, yeah, I'm not. I was defending quite a lot of what Ange had said in press conferences in various groups and stuff like that because people were trying to pick the bones apart of it and stuff like that. But I don't. The words that are being said are not necessarily matching what I'm seeing on the pitch from his management and stuff. And I've been very much with Ange. Like, he deserves the opportunity to see the season through. I've said that. I've said as long as we're in the Europa League, he should be getting the things that. But I am not seeing anything now that is making me want to invest in having Ange there next season. But I know that's getting onto a whole different conversation to what we're talking about currently. But I'm just not seeing anything that's like, because even if we were winning some of these league games and we were still playing well in the cup, but we weren't winning everything, but we're seeing signs of things moving forward, then I'll be like, right, yeah, okay, if we win the Europa League, he deserves the opportunity to see the beginning of next season. But there is nothing I'm seeing on a week-to-week basis that's making me go, I trust him with, whatever amount of money it might be to take the team into the next season.
Yeah.
Before Ian was go on, Ian was coming.
Yeah, let me come in. Just Destiny 5. That's Tom, by the way. The one you think is spot on. He's usually right about a lot. That's why we have him on. There's actually method in my madness.
He's on the short list. The new manager.
But there was that comment that I put up before about no strategy, and then this comment that from Levy Towers. Go and have a look at Dyer's interview when he left the club. He actually said that Ange does not do any coaching.
No, that's not true, though. That's not true. I mean, and you have to look at the fact that we got 6 coaches there. You've got Rob Birch, who's a goalkeeping coach. Then you've got Matty Wells and Ryan Mason are ex-players. Then you've got Nick Montgomery and Serge Romando. They came from Australia. They managed the Scottish under-21s. They managed Hibernia, I think, but they got the sack there, but were highly rated. All these highly rated coaches.
They managed Hibernia, but they got the sack.
And then you've got Milo Jedinak, who came from Villa. So you've got 5 footballing coaches and 1 goalkeeping coach. If Ange goes, we should sack the coaching staff as well, and the science staff and the medical staff as well. They should all fucking go, in my opinion. Right? If that's the case, right? But
would you think, Adrian, that the guy, I can't remember his name, I can't pronounce his name, the guy we've got in from Arsenal, is the one that...
Oh, Vinay Venkatesham.
Yeah, he
Vinay
is the
Venkatesham.
one.
But he's coming as the CEO, so that's sort of sending... So obviously his words with Levy and Scott Mann that, sorry, mate, you're going. And there's rumours whether Paratici or not. That's not a big thing as well if you're going to change that, because he can always be a consultant, whether he's with the club or not. So it doesn't really make any difference.
But is he the one that's going to come in with the sword and just cut the crap away? Because the club's needed that for donkey's years.
Well, the problem is, and there's been a lot of good positive changes at the club, which were down to Paratici, not just on the recruitment on the player side. It was the reason we ripped up the academy. When Dean Rastrick went, I mean, we broke the pay structure, which was strict. Oh, kids shouldn't earn this amount of money, really? Where other clubs are paying it. So you've got to be in the same market as them if you want to. And what's happened since we brought talent in? I mean, the under-17s won that League Cup for the second time now, 2 years later, with a different squad of players. The under-18s won the cup. They won 2 cups in one season. The under-21s won the league, and then weird sort of system they got. You still got to go in the playoffs to win the Premier League, that League Cup as well, and they won that. All right, this year they haven't done as well because like about 8 of that team are out on loan. Right, so no, there's been lots of positive changes, but these were changes that needed to make. But we still got a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of work to do within the structure of the club, you know. And like Vinay, he had a great record at Arsenal. He's a young person actually, coming in his 40s, mid-40s, I think. I think it was Arsenal for 12 or 14 years. So he's coming in as a CO, unless you're making another position alongside Scott Munn. Well, so obviously maybe Scott Munn was brought in because he was with Sports, whatever, in Australia and other places. He's more involved in all these other organisations to do with football at a distance and close to football as well, and maybe Levy's thought, well, hang about, this isn't what I really want.
It's like, yeah, I mean, you could probably see Scott Munn leaving at the end of the season, this sort of thing, but it's been going on for years and years and years. We keep making all these changes, and you think, well, actually, hang on a minute. Who are the people that are making these changes? Surely they are the ones that are the problem. And I just, I love the fact we got a great ground and we're getting so much income in, all this sort of stuff. But you have to look at the records over the last 20 odd years. It's not working. And surely, when any other company, the owners or whatever, would be gone, kicked out.
And what would help, Brad, we had some fucking transparency at this club. Now, I don't expect to know the ins and outs of transfer dealings, who's on what amount of wages and all this. But when you've brought someone in on a job, let's see them face up. Let's see Johan Langer face up. You're director of football. I expect to see you do interviews throughout the season so we know what you're doing. Even though you've got a job done, what you're doing. If you're Scott Munn, let us know what you're doing. What's the progress with the naming rights deal? Are we really going for one, or because our brand's grown so big because of NFL, we're in no hurry to do that, which is probably what is the Tottenham Hotspur Football Club ethos? I mean, if it was me,
make money.
If it was me, it'd be to win everything.
Where I sympathise with Ange is, why should he always be the one that fronts up at a press conference? Why isn't Scott Langer facing up? Why isn't Scott Langer, Scott Munn, the medical officer? Why aren't these people facing up? They do abroad. They do
Adrian, but Adrian, that's not a Tottenham Hotspur problem. That's a English football FA Premier League problem. Like that is what the Premier League and the FA and everything like that set out. In other countries, in Italy, this is the press conference that's happening. You can send any of your representatives to do it, and you quite often do get sporting directors that do it. That's why when Paratici was our sporting director, he was quite keen to do quite regular social media videos and stuff like that, because that's what he was used to doing. The one thing I would say is with this new guy coming in, Vin,
another new guy.
Yeah, well, no, the new CEO that's coming in. The one thing that he was, that a lot of people said from his experience at Arsenal and stuff like that the one thing that he did lean into quite a lot was fan engagement.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah,
and actually, even though he's not doing the job yet technically, I do wonder if he's got a bit of feet under the desk already, because we've already seen like social media, social media, where it's gone. Just to keep fans in the loop, we are in contact with the Premier League about moving the game against Aston Villa, with the whole potential of the final and stuff like that. We never would have got that before. No. So I am hopeful with this new CEO coming in. If Levy can take his grubby mitts off of some of the power and everything there and just lets him get on with the job he's employed him to do, that there will be a bit more fan communication with things. I do think it signifies the end of Scott Munn. Oh no. I do think it probably signifies the end of Johan Langer, which if Langer stayed on just to buy under 19-year-olds, then I'd be fine with that. But anything else, not so much.
But I see what you're saying, Tom, and Vinny there. Thank you, Adrian. Vinia Ven Katarasham.
I think I spelled it wrong. I think it's Vin AI.
Right, or Vinny. He could be brilliant. He could be absolutely brilliant. But how many changes have we seen at this club in the last 20 years? We keep changing the structure and nothing changes.
Yeah,
it just annoys me so much. And it's like, and I'm not on the Levy in, Levy out bandwagon, whatever. But it just gets really annoying, and we keep changing our structure, doing this and doing that, but nothing actually changes. It's still the same.
You would know more about our direction of travel if your team is playing legally from the under-9s upwards through the academy levels to the first team. They all played the same style of football. That that Spurs DNA and look, Conte, I don't care if you like the manager, or even Jose, if you like the manager or not, they were not Spurs DNA footballers from the past. Spurs DNA and the Spurs way has always been a fast, attractive style of football, right? Attacking style of football. And if you know that your teams are playing that from the lowest levels of your academy upwards to the first team, and you know that the first team are playing this attractive style of football, and any manager you bring in, where Levy is completely effed up, right? You bring them in to follow that philosophy. Right, then us as fans, we know in the direction of travel, at least no matter how bad things are going, right? We know this is the Spurs way. This is the way we play for all the levels of the football club. Any manager we bring in, we then have confidence because he's only going to be brought in if he plays the Spurs way, not plays pragmatic football to save his arse, which is what a lot of managers do. Now I get that with low level clubs because they have to save their arse somehow. Right, but a club like Spurs, no. We're Tottenham Hotspur, one of the richest clubs in the world. You don't bring in backup players. Backup? I said this 3 seasons ago, and people laughed on it all in the community about you don't bring in backup players if you're a Spurs club. You bring in quality players that compete for any player in any position, right? And it's the same thing with a manager. You bring in a quality manager. We've now got a list of managers out there that, to me, let's be honest, how many of them excite you on the list that have been listed? Sort of hopeful because 1 or 2 of them have played decent football. We bring them in, even if they're in the Premier League, right? There's no guarantee they're going to be any good. Where's the innovation? Where's the innovative managers that we had in the past? Even with Jarl, even with Venables, even with Poch, Nicholson, Birkinshaw, even with Odell and Ardiles, they might have succeeded, but you had confidence in them. And now we know. Look, I'm going off on a tangent here, but we know that even the summer transfer window, we know before the window's over, it's going to be underwhelming. We're not going to go out and spend hundreds of millions on players, right? We know it's going to be an underwhelming, and we know we're going to get a new manager. And we start another reset, another refresh, right? And you've got to give a new manager time, right? You have to. Why bring them in? They won't come if they're not given time, which nowadays has got to be a minimum of at least 2 seasons. And I'm frustrated as anyone, but I mean, maybe I'm delusional. I always remain hopeful.
I think the thing with
I'll tell you why I remain hopeful first, Tom, and that's because you begin any season. Forget Europa competitions because you're guaranteed another 8 games, which is good because it gives you a chance to play kids in lesser games, right? But the reason I'm hopeful is when it comes to domestic cups, no matter who you are, and like now, Palace are in the final, right? You only need 6 games to win it. And the same with the League Cup, 6 games to win it, maybe 7 double league semi-final or whatever, right? 6 games to win it. So you've always got a chance of winning a domestic cup. So if I didn't have hope, I live a mile and a half from the ground. I'm a lucky person. I wouldn't leave my front door and go to that stadium if I thought we were going to lose a game. It's not the way my mind works, right? But like, I understand other people have a different mentality. Back to you, Tom. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, the summer's going to be really interesting anyway, because I think there's so much up in the air with the club. Obviously, it's weird that they're bringing in a new CEO, because I assume that's just been Daniel Levy's job as chairman. I don't know. Like, we've never really had an announced CEO, as far as I'm aware. So
he doesn't need one, though, because he's an executive chair.
Yeah.
I mean, there simply wouldn't be. If he was a non-exec chair, then yeah. But I don't see the point in having an executive CEO while Levy is a big hands-on chairman.
Yeah. So that instantly leads me to go, something's what's happening. Like that's weird. But the other thing as well is I think we can all safely say that irrespective of what happens for the rest of the season now, I don't think Ange is going to be the manager. But what is going to be really interesting is the next manager is ultimately going to be decided based on how good he is and what he has to work with on if we win this Europa League. If we win this Europa League and we're in the Champions League, you're suddenly looking at a transfer budget that's twice the amount of what it would be when it's not. And if you're in the Champions League, you'll be able to attract a whole host of different managers than if you don't have it. I know we all kind of liked it when Ange said, "Oh, we don't want players that just want to play for Tottenham because we're in the Champions League. We want players to play for Tottenham because it's Tottenham." Like, okay, that's lovely, but that's not the real world, is it? Like, players want to be playing in the biggest competitions in football, and if you're in those biggest competitions, you have more money to spend. So that's going to be a big difference. That could be the difference between getting Scott Parker as manager or getting Inzaghi as manager. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Guys, I've put something up on the bottom there. Levy hasn't brought in this new CEO. He's been brought in by the new owners who will be announced before the summer. David, is that just pure conjecture on your part, or have you got some information you can share with us? Because I certainly haven't heard that.
No, it's pure conjecture. I mean, but again, it is a bit weird for Levy to get in a CEO. It's just odd. Unless
just to explain to those, and I hope I'm not teaching anyone to suck eggs who's viewing us, that non-executive just means unpaid. You're not paid. So if you're on the board and you're a non-executive director, you're brought in and you're unpaid, basically, unless someone corrects me otherwise. And so if Levy's bringing another person in, he's paying them a wage, there's a good chance he's sacking someone else to cover that, right? Which would probably be Scott Munn, right? But
I wonder if he'd get rid of Munn and Lang.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the Lang thing as well is a bit puzzling. We got Bergvall in. If you look at the players that have come in under Lang, it's not. If you look at we've shifted, I think 33 players in the 2 seasons almost Lang has been here, right? So, I mean, admittedly, a lot of them are academy players out on loan as well, apart from ones which have yet to have the money paid for, like Højbjerg at Marseille. That money's due. Gil, is he going to be bought or not by Girona? Is it? So we'll see. Got the loans of Solomon out there. We might get 15, 20 mil more from him. He's got 20 goal contributions in Leeds' promotion. So they'll obviously want to keep him, but Everton and others are interested. But that's going off on a tangent a bit. So back to you, Ian.
Yeah, no. I'm happy that there's, because I mean the alternative is we start doing what we start doing, and we talk about the performance, and we talk about this, and we talk about the goals. I mean, does anyone really want to talk about the goals? 2-1 McAllister, Morwell.
Too many of them.
It was a great strike. But what was Archie Gray doing? He was very passive today. I love the player. I critique players if they play well or badly. Balls like off his back. I thought Gray was very passive today, personally.
Gray was fantastic.
Actually, the goal, I can't remember what goal it was, but it's very unusual to see.
Passive.
Very unusual to see Archie Gray push off the ball, and he was.
Stop. Brad, stop. Sorry, I can't hear if everyone's talking. Did you say you thought Gray was fantastic?
No,
No.
I said he was passive. I thought he was very passive today.
Oh, passive.
And he's got a more aggressive. He's got more bite to his game than we see today, basically.
Was it
But then the
1969?
midfield was shit in general. So
something old, something new. That song. Yeah, sorry, I thought he was really poor today. That's why I thought. Yeah, I mean the second goal, Tell. Poor pass to Gray. Gray stretches, loses the goal. McAllister, fabulous finish, 2-1. To me, it was just park level defending. Gapco, we're caught. We're all on our heels. We're too deep. 3-1, game over. Half time. There's the substitutions, pre-planned. Madison.
Yeah, another player, Bergvall. I thought he was at fault with the third goal. I love the player.
Bergvall
he was.
No.
To be fair, if we all agree that probably Andrew's not going to be here next season, these league games don't mean nothing, really. Yeah, as long as we play well in the Europa League semi-final, 2 games, and then hopefully the final, all the defensive mistakes we're making, and we are making loads of defensive mistakes. We shouldn't really be stressing out over them because it's like, hopefully next season, we'll have a manager that might be able to, coach our defenders actually how to defend. Because we're playing Frodo Glimt, or as I call him, Frodo Gimli from Middle Earth, on Thursday, and they're not livable. We got to respect them, of course we have, but we should be beating this team over 2 legs without any doubt at all. And then the final, Man United, Atletico, whoever it might be. We're in it with a chance. So,
I also wonder, Brad, if Vicario needs glasses because he got done on his inside post a bit too easy, and then he can make fantastic saves. His distribution is crap at times. He doesn't wait till our players are set before he even kicks the ball or throws the ball out. And a lot of time when he kicks them, it seems to be more in desperation than anything else, or I've got to do something, right? And like. The 5th goal, you had a mare today, as far as I'm concerned. And the ball comes off him, but he should have been in a better position before that. When you watch him, we
all joke about prehistoric football, just boot the fuck out of the ball. But I can't remember if it's the second or the third goal. We should have done that. We had the ball on the left hand side, just kick the F out of it. And there's no problem then. But no, we didn't. We tried to pass it in and we made a mistake and they scored.
I want to pick up on Ronnie's point. Tom, I'm going to bring you in here. Solomon is better than Tell, Johnson and Odegaard. Now, I think there's a case for that, albeit we haven't seen enough of Solomon at the very highest level. But my question to you, and I'll go back to Brad and Adrian on this, is are we going to use, is this going to be a typical Levy tactic? Excuse me. We owe Leeds another £20 million for Gray, for Archie Gray. Rather than giving them my hard-earned money, I'll give them Solomon instead, who we don't want, and they can write off the debt for Gray. And that seems to me a typical Levy business decision rather than a football decision. Tom.
Solomon ending up at Tottenham Hotspur in the first place was a business decision, not based on football. He was a free player that they knew that they would be able to sell at some point for a bit of money. Yeah, so irrespective of that, Solomon is better than Tell, Johnson and Odegaard. I mean, Solomon is 25. Those free players, Tell and Odegaard are not even in their 20s. So let's compare when they're 25 as to whether or not. I tell you for a fact now, whether Tell is at Spurs or not at Spurs, he will be a million times better player than what Solomon is now at 25 when he is 25. Odegaard, I wouldn't hesitate to say the same. And if Solomon is better than Johnson, why is Solomon playing in the Championship and not in the Premier League? I know that's very, very, but there is no future for Solomon at Tottenham Hotspur. It's just not, because of other things other than football, sadly. But like there's just no future for him here.
Yeah, the Jewish background, he did, and there were chants from Leeds fans about Palestine and all this. None of this is helpful in football and politics in general, and we don't want to go there. Like,
no, it's not subject. That's why I didn't
we want to
mention it.
keep
It's not
politics
subject
out.
that I feel qualified enough to even have an opinion on. So
just a little bit on Solomon. We see 3 games. I think he had 2 cameos. He looked good on the right. Actually, he had 2 for like 15-minute spells. It was, and when he caught my eye was when we played away at Burnley and we won 5-2, and he assisted 2 goals for Son, who got a hat trick in that first game away in the season. And I thought, a winger that looks up and plays people in. I didn't see it doing in his 2 cameo roles, but he looks like a dribble like Odegaard. With Odegaard, he come from the PSG academy. If people don't know, he went to Burnley under Vincent Kompany, who's now manager of Real Madrid. Kompany was raving about him, and at the time when he was at Burnley, towards the end, before he come to us, his stats were identical to Nico Williams. Right, who's still in Spain, but Nico Williams has won stuff, so most fans would take Nico Williams because he's a proven winner with the Spanish side, right? So, and he does look as though he showed something. Tell as well, in recent games, it looks like he showed something he wants to be, and he's not played like a loanee, like, I'm just here, take the money, it doesn't matter whether we win games or lose.
He's bought a house over here, like he's clearly not thinking.
Tell looks. He does look quality. The problem is, though, Tell and Odegaard aren't oven ready. That's my biggest grouse with this front 3 we've got, or front 6 if you include Son in it, Solanke, Richarlison in it, Johnson in it, right? Solanke's oven ready, Richarlison's oven ready, but they're both not good enough, in my opinion. Johnson, 16 goals, 3 assists this season. We all want to see him do more. We don't know if he's playing under orders, staying stuck out there on the wing. Has he got a higher level? Should he play inside? We don't know.
Adrian, pick up David's comment and the chat while you're talking about Johnson. Just pick up on that.
Well, David, it's not right. Okay, he's been with us a couple of seasons now, and it was very brave for Ange to bring a player in and give him his debut away to Arsenal in a 2-2 draw. That's a brave call. And he had about 3 chances there, 2.5 chances. He may have scored one of them, right? The kid's got talent. I didn't want him at the club before he come. I watched the video, said, I don't want this player. And I've warmed to him this season because when I see him, he was taking all that flack on social media, and we played away at Coventry in the Cup, and we were crap. And that goal he finished, that chip over the keeper, that cool finish, because what I've seen in the season before when he only got 5 goals was like he was panicking in front of the goals. He had like the Werneritis, get in front of the goal and blast it anywhere but at the goal, And he's had some. You go and watch them goals he scored. And then people say tapping merchants. Well, you still got to have instinct in getting a position to tap that ball in and expect it to come. And also, some of the finishes near from the edge of the box, which he's hitting to the far corner, have been quality finishes. So Johnson's a good finisher. Now I want to see more of it, more involvement in the game time. So I'm not going to throw Johnson under the bus.
I agree with what David Clark was saying. He's not a winger. I've always said he's an inside forward at best. He's not a winger. He's not a winger. And I think there's a decent player there. But no, he's not a winger.
Yeah, he's more an inside right, isn't he? He's more of an inside right. Sonny's more of an inside left.
The weird thing is under Angie's system, the wingers take the bylaws and cross the ball and Solanke scores. We got Johnson, who's not a winger, and we got Son, who, to be fair, is not a winger either. No. Son don't go into the byline. No. So, yeah. But
I think David's point is right. Tom, I'll bring you in on this. The squad with the players that we've got, a number of them were bought to play in a 3-5-2. That if we had, if we had, say, so let's talk about Romero for the time being, and Van der Ven. You had Porro, Udogie, Spence as the 2 wing backs. You would then have the option of playing say Bergvall, Gray, Bergvall, Benton, Malick, Kulusevski, whatever, and then Solanke with one of the players, outside them to run off, almost playing an 8 alongside, you know what I'm saying, or an 8/10 around the centre forward. It just seems to me that what David's right with that. I think we could do so much better with the personnel we've got, with a bit of organisation and a change of formation. Tom, let me bring you in on that.
Yeah, but it's just we finally have the players for a 3-5-2 formation or a 3-4-3 formation. After we sacked a manager that plays 3-4-3, so we always seem to finally get the players that suit a manager after the manager's been and gone, and that's just what this is fundamentally the issues with the club. The club needs to have a way that they want to play and a way that they see themselves moving forward, and then not only buy players to suit that philosophy, but also be employing managers to suit that philosophy, not just picking the flavour of the month or Levy having his wet dreams and going, oh, I could get Mourinho, oh, I could get Conte, oh, I could, he needs to think about it. If fundamentally this squad is now currently built for a manager that plays a 5 at the back, then you need to be looking, or a 3 at the back, however you want to describe it, then you need to be looking at managers that play that formation. And that may mean, or a manager that can play multiple formations. And that may mean that you don't get the glamorous name, but you might get the guy who's best for the role. And that's why I, all the time, because if we could get Inzaghi, then I think that the squad of players that we have now would suit Inzaghi. I just don't have any belief that we'll be able to get Inzaghi in unless Paratici is heavily involved. So therefore, who is the next best manager around? Or there's 2 that I always fall back on to suit the squad of players that we got, but also knowing that they can adjust as well for other players that come in. And the 2 names that I keep landing on is Thomas Frank and Glasner. Well,
it's funny you should say that. It's like Blue Pizza. Here's one that I made earlier. The question I was going to put to you, and I'll put it to the rest of them, but seeing as you've raised Glasner, did you see the way that Palace set up yesterday? Did you see the game?
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah.
No, I asked Tom. Sorry, Adrian. Tom, did you see the game?
Yes.
Right. I couldn't help watching that game, the way they stifled Villa and counter-attacked them, and thinking, Glasner with our squad, that would be perfect.
Yeah, 100%. So Glasner, I think, with our squad would be absolutely brilliant. But I also do worry, is Glasner a bit one-dimensional in that he only plays that way? I don't know. I don't know enough about him, if I'm honest. All I know is that he has won big trophies. He won the Europa League with Frankfurt. He's managed in a variety of different countries, and he always seems to, be well regarded wherever he has been. I also liked some of the things that he said in his conferences with regards to, we play to beat the team we're playing and stuff like that, so things like that. But I just, for me, it's between, for me, being a really, like I said, ultimate dream, I would love to get Inzaghi in. I think he's he knows how he wants to play. He also is an attractive manager for players to want to come to. And he has a good mix of being defensively solid, but also playing some nice, fluid attacking football and stuff as well. But I do kind of keep leaning towards Thomas Frank, and just think that Thomas Frank could be a bit of a sleeping giant manager. Like with Brentford, when they got promoted, they played very attacking football, 4 at the back, attacking football, scored a lot of goals, and dominated having the possession. When they then came up, he went, right, we're not doing that. We need to be sensible here. We're going to be more pragmatic in our approach. Went to 5 at the back, We get him defensively solid. And the thing that I like about Thomas Frank as well is that he looks for easy wins. He has a set piece coach because he knows that set pieces can be easy wins. In fact, his set piece coach got pinched by Chelsea, I believe. But like he had a set piece coach, and you know, because he looks for those easy wins. The other thing I like about Thomas Frank is that he's been in an environment which is all data led approach to recruitment in Brentford, which is what Spurs are now trying to do as well.
Aspiring to.
He is familiar with that. He's also seemingly been bringing like young players through as well. You know, he's turned players like Damsgaard into absolutely phenomenal midfielders this year. And Mbeumo is going on another season where he's scoring like ridiculous numbers. He's just a person who has Premier League experience that I look into and go, I feel like he is a manager that is adaptable, but still has a kind of a clear way of.
Do you think, Tom, he might have a real pragmatic approach that the fans ultimately will say, "Oh, we don't want this. We don't want this. We want to play attacking football. What's going on?"
No,
before I move it on, Tom, let's assume that we're not getting Slot, we're not getting Pep. You've got to name the manager now. Who are you naming?
What, any manager in the world?
Well, yeah, within reason. I mean, it's got to be someone that's attainable. That's what I'm trying to drive at.
I think the problem is I don't know who's attainable because I don't know where the club is moving into next season. If we've got Champions League football, then it opens your options to a lot of different managers that you probably aren't looking at if you don't get Champions League football. I still look at Thomas Frank and just think that he would be the sensible choice, but there are still things there that work. The biggest issue is, Ian, is that there is not a person that I just hang my hat on. Like if I was to hang my hat on a manager right here, right now, that I would love us to go and get, and is probably attainable, whose name isn't Mauricio Pochettino, I'd be saying Julian Nagelsmann. But again, he's not attainable. He's with Germany. He's going to be with Germany for the World Cup.
Okay. I'll say good evening to Ryan, because he's been good evening. Another win for Wolves yesterday. You wonder what's hit you, I don't think.
6 in a row now.
So I don't know if there's anything in the chat. There's a lot. There is. Sorry, hang on a minute. There's no, that's that one. It's not Thomas. Thomas Frank's the manager of Brentford. What's the manager? What's his name?
Daniel Farke is Leeds manager.
I don't know.
Absolutely not.
Is that a manager that excites anybody? Not me.
No, not in any way, shape, or form. No,
well, you've got Klopp, Ancelotti. You've got Ten Hag. He's not the most. He's not the biggest personality.
I wonder what
the Ajax side that come to us beat us 1-0 before that great win out there. I thought they played fantastic football. I know it's pretty boring in front of the cameras. Ancelotti's rumoured to be leaving Madrid for the move.
Well, that's the way. That's
right. He's got the job. Klopp's free. Tom,
how would people feel about Ancelotti at Tottenham?
He's going to Brazil.
He's managed in the Premiership before.
Won it with Chelsea, didn't he? He
managed at Chelsea. He managed at Everton, and Everton weren't exactly great under him.
Well, no, to be fair, I don't think no matter what manager we get in, I still think that the problem is with our owners. I really do. You know, we've got the best manager in the world. We got Mourinho. We got Conte. Did nothing, and they've left Tottenham and won things.
If I was gambling, though, I'm going for Xavi. 767 games for Barcelona, knows football inside out, was at Barcelona, the constraints, brought Milao through, brought youngsters through. That is one of my concerns. Now that I've seen, and I watched all them under 21 games last season, the crop of youngsters we've got coming through, I don't know how many of them make it. Not many do. About 3% in the Premier League only make it into their squads of 25, you know. So it is a big leap from academy level to becoming even a member of your 25-man squad, let alone a starting 11 player. We've seen it with Foden, how long it took him to get in. We've seen it with Jordan Sancho. We've seen lots of these players that are good, but you've got to be sort of super good, haven't you, really? So I I like Xavi for the experience. Ancelotti is no spring chicken. Experience, yes. Ten Hag won 2 trophies at Man United. I know it didn't quite work out well for him. He would be a yes. Nagelsmann again, yeah. He would be a yes. And now I'm talking experience against other managers in the Premier League that we got such a long list that shows how sad the list is, basically. It's that long before you even get a short list of thinking who's good enough. And you get to the short list and Spurs fans will be going, they won't be excited.
Adrian, would you take Pochettino back?
Yeah, I would. Because he knows the club and knows the system. And he's got there's a decent squad of players he could work with. This might be why, if he actually wins Europa League, I've often suggested why wouldn't he just stick his fingers up after all the shit he's had to put up with? But then again, you have to compare that with the fact that, would he then want to crack at the Champions League, right? So if he wins the Europa League, because I don't think there's a great list of managers out there, you're in the Champions League now, which would then give you a better choice of managers out there and players, because that's going to be a big factor as well. If we're not in Europe, who's going to want to come? You only come if you pay better wages, so that ain't happening. But Poch has got a year to go. It might be the fact that Ange stays for another year, wins the Europa League. I think he's going to win it, actually. And that'll cause, I think, imagine Ange wins it, you sack him, right? You bring another manager in for a year, doesn't do too well. Then the fan, you've sacked a manager who won the only trophy in the last 18, 19 years at this club. You know what I mean? You're in that situation. So Levy's not going to be able to win, and he doesn't deserve to. He deserves all the pressure that's put on him, right? Let's be fair. So with Poch, because we know what we get with Poch. He's a safe bet, isn't he, with us? I know people wanted him out, and he went out after, in November. He went out in November because he hadn't won, and the press were going back into the games for the pre-season before. And he was always saying, "Look, I need new players. And we didn't bring a player in for 518 days, and the fan base didn't care about that. Results aren't good enough. You've got to go." Well, I think a lot of them fans would have changed their minds now if they'd kept him and he'd been backed, right? So, to me, to answer your question, yes, I would take Poch.
Yeah. Would you take Poch, Tom?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would. I do. Maybe this is just the Tottenham in me coming out, but I do just. My only worry would be is that it'd just be an absolute flop coming back and the ridicule. It's just everyone's yeah, we need him back. Yeah, he's the best good man, and then he comes in and it's just utter crap. The thing for me, I for ages was saying that I believe in meritocracy, and if Ange has won us a trophy, and not just a trophy, but a major trophy, that he should get the opportunity and deserve to see the beginning of next season. I haven't seen anything that gives me any real hope that I would see anything different to what we're seeing now next year, because we've got the players back. Yes, okay, we're managing the minutes, but there's just nothing I'm seeing in the league form that's just giving me any hope that next year would be any different. And add to that you win that and everyone's on a high and we're all happy. Yeah, it's great. And then the first game you lose next year, it's going to be oh, see, nothing's changed, blah, blah, blah. It'll all be back to that. So I do feel like it needs to be a fresh start next year, but a fresh start moving forward in the same vein of, attacking football. Don't do a complete 180 and get a ridiculously defensive manager in. Get a manager who wants to play attacking football. Whatever football is.
I've swithered on Poch, and I've been pretty well against. And one of the reasons I'm against is this: that since he left us, what has he actually done in the game?
He won the league in France with PSG.
You could win the league at Paris Saint-Germain.
And I could also probably not finish 16th place with Tottenham Hotspur's squad this season if I was the manager as well. But he won that. He went to Chelsea, and let's be fair, like I hated him for going to Chelsea, but that job is not an easy job, especially in the circumstances he took over. And Chelsea, by the end of last season, at the end of his first season there, were playing some very.
Improved a lot because of his groundwork. Yeah,
I was very surprised. Well, I was surprised on a performance basis that they got rid of Poch. I'm not surprised because I don't think he ever really wanted to be there, and the Chelsea fans never really wanted him either. So there was always a bit of a toxic relationship between. It's almost like getting in managers from rival clubs is not a good idea, really, isn't it? So
yeah, we would never do that, would we?
No, exactly. But yeah, I think the one thing I would think is that we now know that he loves the club a lot immensely, and if he was to come here, he would be giving absolutely everything he could to ensure that we went on and won stuff and things. But I just don't. The only world I see Poch coming back to Tottenham is if ENIC and Levy aren't the owners.
Yeah, no, I
think he won the French Cup as well, didn't he? I think he won
I agree with you, Tom.
I
would love to see Poch back at this club. I really would, but under different owners.
I think it would embarrass Levy to bring him back. This is the reason why he wasn't brought back earlier. I think Levy would love to have brought him back, but it would have meant Levy admitting he was wrong. And let's face it, you know.
Well,
shit never rolls uphill, does it? So when things go wrong, it always rolls downhill, right? Whether the boss is not always right, but he's always the boss, right? So with that, Pochettino was never coming back. I can see him coming back. I do, because we are struggling now to even consider who we'd like as managers, and we as much as I wouldn't mind Ten Hag, to be honest. Like I say, Ancelotti really? I would take, Xavi I would take, Nagelsmann I would take, but the others in the Premier League, they don't excite me. But if one of them come in and prove me wrong, I'd hold my hands up and say, yeah, wow, great. But none of them have got the wow factor with me. None of them, not one.
What David says is right. And not only you could add to that, David, but by, was it 2 or 3 weeks before he got sacked, he got spanked 7-1 at home by Bayern Munich.
So I was at that game. 7-2.
I was at
that game. 7-2.
That's all right then.
Ian, I fundamentally agree. He was not playing well, but Poch said numerous times that he needed more from the board. He needed fresh players, and not just players coming in, but players going out. And Levy didn't want to do that, and we know that Levy didn't want to do that because he didn't do it for 3 whole transfer windows where he did
518 days without a player, Tom. 518 days.
So yes, okay, he didn't win an away game in 12 months, whatever it was. He also didn't get a player bought for him in over 12 months as well. So I'm not sure. You can say a bad workman always blames his tools, but when your tools are literally falling apart and made of shit, then you're not really gonna stand much of a chance anyway, are you?
You can't dig a trench with a spoon, can you? So
I'm going to comment on that. I think that's a bit harsh. I don't think we can blow the PL to Leicester.
No.
They just kept winning games.
And we were never in top spot throughout that whole year. There was another team that was in top spot actually at the halfway mark of that season.
Chelsea.
Arsenal.
It was Arsenal, was it?
Yeah. And they blew it.
Yeah, I think, and Liverpool were by some distance a better side than us at that point, and they got that iffy penalty. So, second half that last 20 minutes or so when we were peppering them before they got the second goal. I got the feeling if we got one, we'd have gone on and won that game.
Yeah.
If we'd have got one, we'd have got 2 and beat them 2-1. Yeah. But anyway.
Very harsh, very harsh.
Guys, before Ian carries on, I want to thank all of you on the channel that are viewing us. We've got good time to plug the channel. We've had 130 of you watching us, which is fantastic on a Sunday, especially after we've lost another game, right? So like
a lot of Liverpool fans in there, I think.
We're a very young channel. We've only been going about 9 months. We do have a Facebook channel, and I don't blame anyone for not using Facebook, because you go where it suits your way of following the club, right? But we do have a Facebook channel with 49,000 members, about 3,000 active each month, according to the computer-generated insights there. We do have an XConk channel under my name of 3,200. We've started a page which is doing okay. It's been very recent. It's approaching 300. And obviously you can find us here on a YouTube channel. Like the ribbon below says, if you could smash the like button, because it's good for the algorithm, leave a comment. And if you could please subscribe to the channel, even if you're viewing us on XCOM or Facebook or whatever, because it really helps us and helps the channel grow. It only takes a second, and you will earn our eternal gratitude. And we have no intention of becoming a monetized Spurs channel, even though we could 4 times over at this stage, until we get a few more of you in the chat channel, because then we can do shows for members only, etc. So, but once again, a big up to you all that view us and following us, and back to you, Ian.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I think we've covered the manager situation. I think part of the problem is, but a couple of you have said it, there is no outstanding candidate. There is no, for example, ex-Spurs player that's absolutely ripping it up, where you say they're made for us, they're coming in. There's nobody, and in fact, you could write a pros and cons column for everybody that's been mentioned.
Ian, have you not heard of them? Who's that ex-Spurs player? He's Ryan Mason. Heard he's pretty good.
What about is it Chris Curtis at Birmingham? They got promoted.
Well, you
Chris
can
Davis,
Kieran McKenna. Apparently, the boy
McKenna at Ipswich.
Scott
ex-Spurs.
Parker, Kieran McKenna, Scott Parker, Chris Davis. I mean, there's talk we're very interested in Scott Parker because he doesn't let in any goals. But I mean, here's another one who's. He's one that needs a successful year in the Premier League before you can say, all right, let's spend the last 20 minutes or so talking, because let's be honest, it's a sad state of affairs. We're in a European semi-final on Thursday, and we're talking openly about the new manager, because I don't think anybody has any belief that Ange Postecoglou will be there. In fact, I don't even know that he'll see out the season. If we get put out by, I think he'll be gone a week on Friday.
No, he won't be in. He won't be. And
yes, he will.
No, he won't. Pantomime says, well, I'll give you the reason why I don't think, before you carry on about it, it's simply because, like, if you sack Ange now, we have protest movements. I'm not renewing my season ticket. I think Tom said he's not renewing his. My angst for the club is to do with cultural things and many other things, and it's not the reason I won't stand with the protest movement, even though I had twice in the past, but won't again, right? And the reason I say that, just on logic, not because what people might want, it's because if Ange sacks Pochettino now, right, after, say, Thursday, if someone has to be wrong, we're players who lost the game or whatever, look at the pressure that now's on Levy. Whereas if he leaves it to the summer, which is not long, there's no time for people to protest. There's no more games for people to turn up and protest that. So, and Levy's too cunning a fox, right, to do anything now. He is, right?
All right.
I get the logic behind your argument, though. Okay. I get your logic.
Sorry, I'm gonna close this off because I do want to talk about Thursday. There's an extra A in there in a hype. Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan Rodgers.
Maybe this Brendan Rodgers is someone we don't know about. Maybe, yeah. No, sorry, in a hype. I'm taking the piss, but I shouldn't be. But Brendan Rodgers was interviewed on Sky after Celtic won 5-0 at Tannadice yesterday, and one that wrapped up the Scottish Premier League. And he said, I will 200% be here next season. So he
Good.
absolutely killed that speculation.
Yeah, good.
Brendan Rodgers.
Well done, Brendan. Love you, man.
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers is not coming to Tottenham. So let's close that off. We will be revisiting it. I have a funny feeling we might be revisiting it fairly soon. But let's see, particularly if we do go out the Europa, then I think it will be open season on the speculation. But let's talk about Thursday. They've got a number of players out, Tom. They're a good side, I think. I mean, I've got my view. If you were told at the beginning of the season you will have a semi-final against Bodo Glimt, thanks, Adrian. You'd have a semi-final against Bodo Glimt in the Europa League. You'd bite your arm off. You'd absolutely bite your arm off, or bite my arm off. But, rather than bite your own arm off. But one, I suspect we're playing so poorly, and secondly, the fact that they're in a semi-final means that they are absolutely no mugs. So, first of all, let's talk about what sort of teamwork. Well, what personnel do you think we'll put out, and what would you expect to happen? I mean, Adrian made a banner earlier that they have 4 out. Their captain is suspended. And I mean, I don't know these players at all.
Yeah, the other guys, he plays alongside the captain, Hakan Evgen. Right?
So they're both in midfield?
2 midfielders are missing. The other guy, he got sent off. I think he got sent off against Lazio?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Lazio, yeah.
And the winger, the last league game, he came off after 15 minutes with an injury. So if the footballing goes to Smilers in any way whatsoever,
which I don't.
Come on, I expect at least a 4-goal win, against these. But go on, Ian. Sorry.
I mean,
just to give you a hint on their impressive record in the last 6 years, this isn't consecutive. They finished second in the league twice, not unturned, and been champions 4 times. So them second place finishes are in between them 4 championship wins. Okay, so they're not mugs on the AstroTurf pitch in front of their 8,270 fans.
No, and that's the thing. I think the first leg is at home. We need to make sure that we are going to their place with a significant goal margin in our favour. Like, we cannot.
What sort of lead do you think we need?
I probably would only feel comfortable.
8 goals.
8, 9.
I would probably only feel slightly comfortable if we have a 3-goal minimum lead, because they're not mugs at their place, and not be funny. You're traveling into almost the Arctic Circle by going to them. Like I was like, never gonna go, but I started looking at flights and things like that, and then flying direct into Bodo and stuff. And I was like, I wonder what it'd be like.
Reindeer taxis.
Yeah, and then I was like, I wonder what surely it'll be cheaper to fly to Oslo and then car up. It's like a 19-hour drive from Oslo.
No, there's an airport near there actually.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, you can fly direct there, but only if you want to spend like £400 on a flight out there.
I'm not sure it's direct. I think you go to a busy airport and then you get your balloon trip there or something like. You know what I mean?
They are, besides the joking of it, they are very good at home, and one of the reasons they're very good at home is because of where they are. Like, they're playing in cold conditions. They're playing on an AstroTurf pitch in a small enclosed environment. Teams have had to travel a very long way to get there. And that is part and parcel of why they've been able to do well. They've done very well at home in the Europa League. They haven't done so well away from home. They're playing us away from home, and they're missing some of their best players. We have to be taking a significant victory to their gaff, so that we absolutely cannot be going to Bodo Glimt week after next needing a result. If we need to win, we are stuffed.
Keeping a clean sheet. In the old days, you'd say keep a clean sheet, try and win 3-0, get a goal out there, they need 5, and you think we won't concede 5 if we defend properly. You know, I'm not in favour of the away goal rule being crushed, but squashed.
Oh, really?
But whatever it is. But I mean, they're obviously no mugs. Tom, before I move on to Brad and Adrian, and obviously what people in the chat say as well, before I go to bed, what would you expect the starting lineup to be?
Go on, Tom.
No, I was going to say I'd expect the starting lineup to be basically the same as what started versus Frankfurt.
Which is
Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, Bentancur, Bergvall, Maddison, Tell, Solanke, Johnson is what I'm expecting.
Did Son not play in Frankfurt?
He might have. Yeah, he got injured afterwards, didn't he? But I'm not convinced by the fact that Sonny wasn't even on the bench today, whether he would be fit.
Yeah.
And to be honest, even if he is fit, he shouldn't be starting on Thursday.
Because we're going to attack, we're at home. Mine's slightly different. I mean, like, I'm going Vicario, obviously. I'm going Udogie, although he's been out of form. Then I'm going VDV Romero, Porro for his attacking. In midfield, I'm going Bentancur, Bergvall, and Maddison, because that midfield blend has worked. We've seen a bit of cohesion with midfield when those 3 are there. And I'm going Son Solanke, and I'm playing Kula on the right because he gives us more attacking. I don't think we're not going to need great pace to beat teams that beat us on the break, because they're going to sit back when they come. So I'm going Kula on the right. So then you've got Kula and Maddison's creative ability as well with it. I just think the only doubt of my team is whether Spence starts over that. That's it. I mean, otherwise I'm going Udogie and Porro.
Yeah. So just to clarify, that team I said was not the team that I would play. That's the team that I'm expecting to play. I'm expecting him to play Johnson at right wing, but I probably wouldn't for this game. To be honest, actually, seeing how we played with Tell and Odebear as wingers, I'd probably go with those 2, because they're going to play. Bodo Glimt are not going to come to our stadium to win. They're going to come there to not lose or to not lose by a lot of goals. So they're going to be parking men deep. So you want?
Yeah, I'm picking Kula on the right because he'll put more than shifting than Johnson will or anybody else with, and he gives you a bit of more physicality than Tell or Odebear if they're on the right would give us. So because you're not going to get it with Son on the left, and we don't want it on 2 flanks, and you can keep Tell or Odebear in reserve to come on. If Son isn't quite fully fit or still got this bone problem on his foot, you can bring one of them on to play on either flank. So I'm going with Udogie, going with Kulu, because I want his graft in there as well as his creativity.
My problem with Kulu is that he's looked terrible since he's come back from injury.
Yeah,
that's my only.
He's not the only one though, Tom, is he?
No. But you know, Odebear and Tell. Although yes, we lost. Sorry to who did they play against? I was there. Awful game. Wish I didn't go. Week before last in the league, but they played. Yes, might have been, but they played on the wings, and you know, we created a lot of chances that game. Although Forest, you know, purposely let us. Yeah, it was Forest. I've just remembered. Although they purposely let us put, you know, as many balls in the box as what we did, but I actually got a little bit of excitement from watching Tell and Odebear trying to take on their man, rather than just the same crap going on all the time. I think with a team that are gonna, and this is me not knowing that much about Bodo Glimt. I'm just assuming that they're just going to come and park the bus. They might not in any way, shape, or form, but that's my expectation. You need players that are going to be wanting to take on their man and trying to create things. Whereas, you know, you're not going to get that with necessarily a Johnson or someone like that. But I would expect the team to be fairly similar to the one in Frankfurt. I hope Son doesn't start because
he will.
I don't feel like his form deserves a start, let alone the fact that he's obviously like been injured for the last 2 weeks.
No, I get it. On the test, yes,
Brad?
great.
Yeah, let me bring Brad in. Yeah.
Well, Frodo Gimli, we should not underestimate, and Mordor is a really tough place to go and play. No, all jokes aside, no, they're obviously a decent team. I mean, to beat Lazio and to go Lazio and go 3-2 down the extra time and still come back and win, they're obviously a decent team. But I do agree that they're better at home than they are away. And I think the home leg we have on Thursday, that's when we should put the tie beyond doubt. That's what our aim should be on Thursday. Put the tie beyond doubt. And I think we could have a few things in our favour. Okay, they've obviously lost a lot of players through injury or suspension. But also, it's going to be 26 degrees on Thursday night. That's quite warm. They're used to playing in the Arctic Circle.
What's it going to be Thursday night?
26 degrees is on my weather thing for Thursday night.
Are we playing in Valencia?
Exactly. And they're used to playing in the Arctic Circle. So it's going to be quite, if we can sort of, it's going to be quite tiring, for want of a better word, for them. So I think, they probably will park the bus. But, if you'd, I think you said earlier, Ian, that, if someone said, "Oh, you're going to play a team from Norway in the semi-final," we'd say, "Oh, I'll have that." So I think Tottenham should blow them away on. I'm actually unbelievable for me. I'm normally quite pessimistic. I'm really confident we're going to get to the final, and I think we should blow them away on Thursday. I really do. If we don't, well, then fair play to them. But I think, look, we're not playing Lazio, we're not playing Atletico, we're not playing Roma, we're not playing Man United. We're playing a Norwegian team. We should beat them.
I think it'd be too hot for them. They're not used to heat. They come from Arctic conditions,
Well, exactly. 26 degrees. Right,
Yeah.
I'm just picking up. Hey, can you guys talk? I'm picking up Alistair Gold, and he appears to think they've got more problems coming ahead. So, can you just talk, Adrian? Just run it for a second.
I will. Hang on. I will. Yeah. Well, I just want to. Right, these are our fixtures, guys. Come back to this, and like,
I've got it. Sorry.
Right, okay, we've got Bodo, and we've got West Ham, Bodo again, and then
Odin Bjortuft.
Adrian, we don't care about any of the games apart from the two games.
No. The only thing I'm saying is that the Europa League Cup final is the 21st of May.
Yeah.
And I think the FA Cup final is the 17th of May. Now, Palace are through now. Before I made this banner, I watched the game yesterday. They got through. So I haven't put the dates for the Palace or Villa game down. And I'm wondering if we're going to this final, whether we'll get a week's clear run before the final or not. That's what I'm considering here. And I haven't had a chance to go and check anything new to find out. That's why I haven't put the dates in.
Yeah.
The Villa game might go ahead on the date it says. The Palace game, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that in Europe, most of these European leagues, they sort of give their teams a week's break if they're involved in a final. And we usually get like 2 days or 3 days or something like that, right? So I'd like there to be a rule, actually, that all teams should have a week break before a final. I think that would be fair. That'd be a nice rule. But, so I don't care if we win. Well,
I'll tell you what, we've obviously got a drunk on the show tonight.
Yeah. Obviously, you wouldn't want me as manager. We wouldn't have a squad of 25, probably have a squad of about 16, and we'd have got rid of the rest, right?
Yeah.
So there'd be plenty of academy players in the squad, though.
Yeah. All right.
I have to say, simply, Ace. Fair enough. Look, you're entitled to your opinion, but if we can't beat Brodeglim over 2 legs, then what are we here for? Why are we supporting our team? Really, to be fair, come on.
I can honestly see us getting 4, 5, or 6 goals Thursday.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the players
head in his arms here. Look.
I think the players are completely downed tools for the league games. I think they are they're literally using that as minutes to just keep their legs going and stuff. Yeah. It's not great because obviously you'd much rather be winning those games and going into these games. But you can tell if you look at the effort that the players put in that second leg against Frankfurt in comparison to how they've played the last two games in the league, it's night and day. And it just goes to show that the players can do it. Like, they can do it. The players are capable. Like, to be honest, I mean, I'm going back way in the stream now when we was talking about, we need a coach to come in who can teach the defenders how to defend. And I'm like, bloody hell, these defenders, they're earning hundreds of thousands of pounds a month, a week, whatever. And then we need a coach to come in to teach them how to defend. It seems ludicrous to me. But at the same time, like, I'm very confident that we'll beat Bodo Glimt on Thursday. Like, I'm super confident about that. I'm actually excited.
Power in the morning and putting a $5 on Adrian. I think the odds might be quite good.
I think Tom's got more chances. Odds are a lot shorter than mine.
Yeah, don't underestimate Chirpy.
All right.
I'm super confident. I'm confident we'll win on Thursday. What I'm not confident about is whether or not we'll win by enough goals to be comfortable in the second leg.
Yeah,
we will.
I think
I was trying to read that piece.
The centre back.
I've lost it. Alistair Gold has said that their big centre half ever present has
injured himself for a groin injury. Yeah, so their centre back has
a groin injury.
Yeah.
So if he's out, the winger's out, the captain's out, and the two others holding midfield players are gone, they are going to be weakened.
Yeah, that's got 1-0 Bodo Glimt written all over it now, hasn't it?
You know. But so anyway, right, I think we're pretty well done here. I need a prediction for Thursday night, Tom Clark.
3-0.
I would take that now. Brad Matthews.
This just hit my head, and I'm not going away from it. 4-0.
This is good. I like this. I could have you people on every week with this optimism. Adrian Stoker. I don't know why I'm calling everybody by with their last names, but
5-0.
Okay. Those of you in the chat, do not
put your predictions in. Get your predictions in the chat. Come on. We like to engage with the chat. Get your predictions in, yeah?
No.
Scorers.
We're going out, aren't we? We're going out, obviously.
Ian, what do you predict?
No mental health professional should be permitted to view this stream under any circumstances, because I'm going 5-1. I've got a feeling as well that we will just go out for once and put a performance together, and I can start thinking about Bilbao.
To be honest, I think your prediction is probably the most likely, because the fact that 3 of us have predicted us to get a clean sheet is just.
Good point, Tom. Good point, Tom. Yeah.
I just think we're going to just absolutely batter them.
Yeah. There's more chance of a haul without a condom keeping clean sheets than Tottenham, I have to tell you. But sorry about that.
I know worse expressions than that. More chance of getting a wank off the Queen Mother with her lips, yeah?
Yeah. Right. I think there's your MBE gone
you can't end the stream on that. No way.
Adrian, I've had a few beers before tonight's stream. You have not. You've no excuse for that. No excuse.
I know there's no excuse for that, but
if you haven't hit the
ground you in reality,
yeah. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, please do. We will be back. It's just there. There you go. Like and subscribe.
Yes, 121 new viewers now, guys, which is absolutely fantastic. What we'd like you to do is please subscribe to the channel, and if you like our content, please post comments in the chat channel. We're very grateful to all of you who have posted your comments in the chat channel. Yeah, and those of you viewers of XCOM, if you could come and join us live in the chat channel, that would be fantastic for us. Helps the algorithm, keeps us all going. And we'll continue to bring you good content, light-hearted, comical,
some sick
and
jokes.
prickly content at times, right? Okay, but we thank you, and a big up, and a very big up to all of you that actually bother to watch us on playback.
Yeah.
While you make the time to watch us on playback, it must be a struggle and busy lives and all that, but we thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Simply Ace, we're all unhappy, but
we're all unhappy. Simply Ace. Yeah.
I can sit here with 3 miserable gits and cry into our beer, or we can just have something light-hearted and remember it is only football. It was Bill Shankly who said, football is much more important than life or death. And I remember thinking when he died, I'm old enough to remember clearly when he died, and thinking, nah, Shanks, that's really sad. But anyway, so we will be back, Adrian, on Tuesday. You will be back on Tuesday.
We're doing a preview Tuesday. We might cover this game a bit if people want to talk about what we haven't discussed, which we probably covered everything here. And we'll be doing a preview of Bodo Glimt. So we'll be here
Ryan, for coming on, by the way.
9 o'clock Tuesday. The regular Friday shows go out at 10 o'clock because we like to try and attract a Canadian American audience and those in the southern hemisphere. And then obviously Sunday shows at 9 o'clock. So we try to cater for all time zones if we can, best we can from the UK anyway.
From here, absolutely.
But big up and thanks to you all.
I actually just said to one of my pals who watched, and a couple of my old Eversley friends that I'm on a chat, a WhatsApp group with your dad, Tom, about when I talked about having, I wasn't boasting. I just mentioned about we go out at this time because of the North American market and the Far East and then Australia. It's like, what? You've got an international following? Yeah. Actually, the club has an international following that we then attract. But it just shows you. It absolutely shows you we do have an international following.
Especially on Facebook. Especially on Facebook. With the 14,500 members on Facebook. I mean, some might be bots and dead accounts now and all that, but for the 3,000 regulars there are on each month minimum, right, can go up to 6. Most of them, when you look at the algorithms, most of them are in the southern hemisphere anyway. They are. It's surprising that we don't have in the Facebook group so many from Canada or America or even from Europe, which is I find strange. I just find it strange when I look at the computer generated algorithms. I just find that strange, but it's the way it is. But still welcome the members.
Okay. So thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom.
Big up, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, just distracted him from his phone. Thank you, Brad.
Big friend of the show, Brad. Thank you, Brad.
As ever. Thank you, Adrian. I'm not going to play.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Adrian.
I'm going to end the stream. But as we say, good luck on Thursday, Tottenham. Please do this.
Brad, you going? Are you going, Tom?
Yeah, I'm going there. Yeah.
You going, Tom?
Yeah, I'm there.
I might meet you in the usual place in the fan zone. We'll you have to talk to Brad.
Yeah.
They normally meet on the grass verge outside, Brad,
Yeah.
I'll be there.
All right. We can talk about this backstage, boys. I'm going to
I'll see you backstage.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you.